Thank you very much. So my name is Chad Tinnell. I am a sergeant at the Louisville Metro Police Department. I got my instructor's permit back in 2013. I enjoy doing this. Special thanks to Bryce, and Mike, and Larry, Noah, especially Amy, who coordinated all this stuff, and Bill back there, making sure that my logistics run well. So the first thing I always do, my first slide for everything I do is who am I, and am I a credible source to even talk about this? So if you look at my resume real quick, right, I spent some time in patrol. I've spent the last 12 years, say, in investigations, doing everything from special victims work. I was appointed to the public integrity unit where we investigated high-profile crimes, either with Metro government employees as the victim or the suspect, something like that. Promoted to sergeant, and currently right now I'm in the criminal interdiction division. I'm in charge of 4 guys that handle detection-only canines and 2 guys that investigate prescription drug diversion. So the canine department really doesn't correspond to investigations. However, our prescription drug diversion, we deal a lot with fraud, and I've dealt with a lot with fraud through my career. These are my canine guys. I always put them up as a second. This is always, lighten the mood type of slide. My prescription drug diversion guys, we do a lot with, pill fraud, prescription fraud, prescriber fraud, and just some of our seizures that come out of these are substantial. Prescription drug diversion, so you can kind of see the pills and narcotics and guns that go with that. And then here's one of our dogs, Goose, and she's a 8-year-old Belgian Malinois, trained, certified to detect marijuana, heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine and fentanyl. Very good at what she does. This is Forrest, and Forrest is our only male Belgian Malinois. He's about 77 pounds. Funny story about him is, as my position in the police department, we bought him at the direction of the police department, we bought him a $70 kennel at the Feeder Supply, right? Because they wouldn't give us something real nice. Well, I called him back 5 weeks later, and I said, I'm going to send you a picture of this kennel. I need one of those $400 deals. And I sent him a picture of the kennel, and it was completely destroyed. Forrest is standing over it, very happy with himself. And 2 months later, he got a $400 kennel that he couldn't destroy. So we're here to talk about scams. And what I think about immediately is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? So this quote is not accredited to anyone, but I like to think that John Wayne said it, preferably right before he asked Martha for his greeners. And here's my contact information. I'm happy to give this to you later on. If you have any questions, comments, email me, call me. That's my desk phone number. I'm usually going to respond within the next 24 hours. So, does anybody remember this first computer ad? Yeah, A is for Apple, 1979, right? Even in 1979, 1980, the other side of the computer world was looking how to make money illegally from people using computers. And from there, we've come a long way, haven't we? We've got the whole world and computers, and they fit in the palm of your hand with cell phones and whatnot. Is this what we think about when we think about fraud? Right? One guy sitting at a computer, he's got his computer in front of him, trying to do evil things and whatnot. Your actual call centers for computer fraud look a little bit more like this.
Thank you for getting connected to the cancellation department of Norton. My name is Nick. How may I help you?
I deliberately don't say exactly how I do it because scammers then become aware of that. I can't see other computers without them having scammed me, first of all. You just need to know how the scam works. And when he's hung up the phone with me, I can still listen in to calls.
Hey, why are you crying, man? You're a very good man. Why are you crying? Suffer from depression.
No, sir. Everything will be okay. Don't worry, okay?
Yes.
Now, promise me you won't cry again, okay?
I only ever get a snapshot of what's going on. If I can see one particular computer, I can see just what's happening on that computer. But if I happen to hit a computer which is owned by maybe like a boss, you can see much more interesting stuff going on.
So this guy is actually an anti-scammer. He's what we call a white hat scammer. And he's trying to scam the India call center and to stop scamming people. But this is what your call center looks like for scammers. It's a rows of people, and all they do is call people all day long and say they're from Norton's, Fifth Third. You name it. And what we're talking about here is how he got into there, and is what this young lady said a second ago, malware. So when someone asks you to download something but you don't know what it is, what they can do is they can basically take over your laptop, computer, they can take over your cell phone, your email address. It doesn't matter. If you have note section, I keep a note section in my phone full of passwords, right? I do it, right? I'm more trained than most people, right, in fraud and scam and stuff like that. I encrypt my phone. There's a way you can do that. Happy to show you. It's kind of complex. However, if you download something, say someone sends you an email like I was just talking about from PayPal and whatnot, saying, hey, click on this link if this is not you. We're not supposed to take $7,500 out of your account. Click on this link. So, malware is downloaded onto your phone, computer, right? And then all of a sudden, that scammer gets an alert and says, hey, we now have access to Chad Tinnell's computer. And they can do whatever they want to. They can look at you on your camera. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. And this is how malware works.
Oh my gosh, why is the phone moving on its own? Hubby, quick!
This could be you. Plus, if you have a habit of saving your username and passwords on a note app on your device, you could be doubly vulnerable to malware scams. Here's how it happens. You come across an ad on social media for seafood, mantou, beer, mooncakes, or cleaning services. You start a chat on Messenger to discuss your purchase. They ask you for your mobile number to WhatsApp you. They then send you a link to click and download an app to choose your products and make your purchase. On WhatsApp, they'll tell you you've been given a $10 rebate and ask you to check your bank account. You'll open your bank app, type in your username, password, and OTP, and see the money credited. What a good deal. Not. Here's where the trouble starts. The app you downloaded contains malware, giving the scammer remote access to view and control your device. By asking you to access your bank app, they were able to record your username and password. At night, when you were unaware, they remotely accessed your phone. They clicked on your bank app, keyed in your username and password, and wait for the SMS OTP to come through. Before inputting the number and logging into your bank account, they delete the SMS, so you would never know they were even there. Once logged into your app, they then increase your funds transfer limit, add new payees, and make funds transfers out of your account. You don't even know it's happening. That's how a malware scammer steals your money. A strong security feature blocks scammers from accessing your bank account when you have a malicious app on your phone. But it is important to stay vigilant. Don't download apps from unknown sources and strangers. Only download apps from the official app stores. This way, you won't give malware scammers access to your phone and to your bank account.
So pretty simple, right? Someone asks you to click on the link. You don't know who the person is, and it's something that you don't know anything about. Go to that first trusted source to kind of verify that, right? Log into your bank, log into Retirement Planning Solutions website, something like that, and check and make sure that this hasn't happened. You do not want to click on something they have access. There's very little you can do from there. You have to reset your phone and lose everything you have there to get them off. I've done it one time for somebody, just to reset their phone, and they lost pictures and all their stuff and whatnot, and then had to reset all their passwords, new credit cards, new bank account information. It's a disaster. Right now we're talking about financial exploitation, right? And financial exploitation can deal with anything and everyone. It comes from an agent under a POA. It comes in all types of different forms and phrases, investment fraud and scams, and it usually involves theft of money. I've only had a couple of cases where it involved theft of property, and those are a little bit more logistically tedious. So scammers don't usually do that. They have to have a front man, somebody to actually go to banks and signings and whatnot, and it has to be someone relatively intelligent to do so. It can't be someone you could give $100 to and have them go in and get a gift card for you. But lottery and sweepstakes scams, we see that a lot. And my best advice for people doing that is, if you didn't play the game, you most definitely did not win the game, right? I've had a number of people come into my office and say, I won $10,000 and this guy wants $5,000, and then he's going to send me $10,000. He's going to send me my $5,000 back. Sir, that's not going to happen. Here's what happened. Here's what's going on. Did you actually play the XYZ sweepstakes? No, I've never heard of it, but I won. No, you didn't, sir. I can't. So talking about bank account and cell phone takeover.
Right into it. So what is account takeover fraud? Account takeover fraud, or ATO for short, happens when a cyber criminal gains access to a victim's login credentials and proceeds to steal, switch around information to carry out larger schemes, or attempts to mimic the individual in an attempt to steal from others. Account takeovers are extremely common nowadays for two main reasons. First, many of the services we use day to day are all tied to online accounts. Things such as Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Uber, and many more are all accounts scammers would love to get their hands on to steal your money, so they work really hard to get access to your information. Secondly, many major companies have leaks and data breaches that expose millions of people's personal data on a daily basis. The Identity Theft Research Center recently reported the number of data breaches so far this year has already surpassed the number in 2020 by 17%, and this could be a record-breaking year for data compromises. Other common ways scammers steal information is through phishing and spoofing, social manipulation, and buying it from insiders who have access to personal data. Once hackers get this information, they proceed to sell it on shady forums and mainly the dark web, and once it's sold, that's where credential stuffing comes in. Credential stuffing, put simply, is when scammers use bots to test online credentials at a massive scale and attempt to take advantage of the fact that people usually use the same username and password information for multiple websites. Here's a simple breakdown of how a credential stuffing bot will work. First, a hacker gets a list of, let's say, 1,000 stolen usernames and passwords for Amazon.com. The hacker would then load this data into a bot that will test this list of credentials against Amazon.com automatically. To take it a step further, the bot will also test that data on major bank websites and other popular services that contain consumer information. Once the bot has completed the test, it'll spit out the results of which credentials are correct and to which services. Many companies attempt to put measures in place to fight against credential stuffing bots, but the bots continue to evolve and find ways around these securities. So in this video, I'm going to speak about the most common account takeovers I'm aware of, which are first, bank account takeovers, second, cell phone account takeovers, and third, email account takeovers. I want to go over what scammers typically do when they take over these accounts and how you could defend against it. Bank account takeovers are typically the most dangerous for obvious reasons. The scammer will have direct access to your hard-earned money. Once a scammer successfully logs into your account, they will proceed to switch around your information, such as your email and phone number, so they can have all alerts and messages be routed directly to them. They may also switch around your mailing address or set a temporary address and reissue debit cards so they can go on shopping sprees using your money. Additionally, scammers can open new accounts through your online banking to launder money and run other schemes through. They can also attempt to open lines of credit and credit cards in your name, which will destroy your credit. And of course, they could use many of the person-to-person transfer services such as Zelle or Cash App to funnel money right out of your account directly to their own. The best way I know to defend against bank account takeovers is pretty simple. First, if you get notified from your bank about a data breach, immediately change your online banking information, and while you at it, if you use similar information for other sites, change that as well too. Make a point to not use the same credentials for multiple websites to avoid credential stuffing bots. And secondly, make sure you have bank account alerts set up and make sure you are actually looking at them when you receive it. Usually when your information is changed, you will receive an email or a text alert from your bank. But this can also be a method that a scammer uses to phish your information, so never click on random links. Log into your bank account directly through the actual website and check your alert messages through there. Cell phone account takeovers are extremely dangerous because it allows scammers to get through two-factor authentication, or 2FA for short. 2FA is a security measure that requires a user to input an additional security code, which is usually sent through text in addition to logging in with a username and password. This extra layer of security is set to protect against account takeovers, so if a scammer has access to your cell phone number, they can easily get access to nearly all your accounts. Another name for a cell phone account takeover is SIM swap fraud, because with a cell phone account takeover, the scammer needs to port your number over to their own device. The best ways that I know to defend against a cell phone account takeover is, first, reach out to your phone provider and find out what protections do they provide against SIM swap fraud. A common defense against SIM swap fraud is setting a security code or a security word with your phone provider that must be given before any changes can be made on your account. Second, you could request your phone provider give a call to a designated secondary phone number for someone you trust who they must reach out to before any SIM card changes are done. By adding this extra layer of security, it will make it challenging to take over your number by having this secondary level of approval. Finally, email account takeovers are probably one of the most dangerous account takeovers out there, especially if you're an individual in a financial position or a business owner. When a scammer is able to take over your email, they're able to see all your personal emails, which will also give them a clear idea of what bank accounts and services you are signed up to, allowing them to attempt to reset your login information. Also, with an email account takeover, scammers may be able to retrieve your personal records and pictures and use that as a form of blackmail to extort you out of your money. If you are someone who's in a position of leadership or a financial position or a business owner, a scammer can attempt to trick people in your contact list to send money out of accounts and authorize purchases under the disguise that it's you. This type of scam is also known as a business email compromise scam, which is one of the most costly fraud methods on records, coming in at $1.8 billion in losses in 2020. The best way I know to defend against email account takeovers are, first, always make sure you have 2FA set up on all your email accounts. As mentioned with cell phone account takeovers, 2FA will make it very difficult for scammers to log into your accounts or change your information without you knowing about it. Second, always use a complex and different password for your email accounts, and even consider having a separate email that is only attached to your important accounts. By having this designated email address, it should remain clutter-free, and it will be blatantly obvious if something fishy is going on, because you might start seeing spam and other random junk mail popping up in your inbox, which is an easy red flag. Lastly, if you're in a financial position or a business owner, consider encrypting your emails so it'll be very clear to others if your email account is taken over and emails are sent to your contacts. You should also consider training your staff on common phishing and account takeover techniques, and set specific processes in place whenever financial requests are sent. So if the process is broken, that would be a red flag that something suspicious is going on. Account takeovers are very dangerous, so being aware of these methods and how to stay ahead of them are extremely important.
So Mike was talking about a minute ago how Retirement Planning Solutions doesn't allow emails for trade and whatnot, right? And this is part of the two-factor authentication, right? Two-factor authentication, one, provides quick identification that the person who actually has the resources wants to make some type of trade or whatever it is, right? A second factor authentication would be like if you logged in, now we need to put a password in, or it's going to send an email to your email so that way you can put your code in. Amazon just went to this 8 months ago after they've had a bunch of problems with hackers and whatnot finally getting through their hard wall, and it's worked out well for them. So if you have the opportunity to do a two-factor authentication, most banks do. Definitely do it. It's not it is a problem sometimes, right? Like you're like, oh, I want to log in real quick and get this done. However, now I need to go check my email. But please, please, please set up that two-factor authentication. You will not regret it when the worst case scenario happens. So I always talk about romance scams, and here, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, I've got my first romance scam, and it was a lady in Ukraine who said that she was coming to see me and that she was on the bus and she just needed $300 if I would send it to her. So, I'm 30 years old at the time. I'm thinking, oh, maybe, no. So, needless to say, I deleted that email. However, some people click on those links, right? Some people will send her $300 and kind of see what happens, right? So there's always something, right, that they want more and more and more and more and more. The $300 train ride gets her to the airport, and the jet crashed. So the $1,000 she's asking for the plane ticket that you may or may not have sent, now she needs another $1,000, and there's always some type of excuse. It's usually people that I have researched. I've never talked to a romance scammer. People that I have researched are usually, my age type of men, and they are very good at posing as the opposite sex, and that's how they make their money, right? The false identity. They're very good at rapport building, right? They take time to build that trust. They're always after money, finance, some type of asset and whatnot. And it can happen online or in person. It doesn't matter. And I put this slide in just to kind of reiterate that point. Send some money to help me. There's always some type of crisis going on with romance scams. And, on the other side, it's kind of, hey, what's really happening here? Some text that I have dug up here. Well, and it just goes to show you the length at what people will do and the lies they're willing to tell to make a dollar. And it seems to me that some of these people could probably use some of this intelligence to actually make an honest dollar. But if you look on the left one, it's I lost my arm, my gun and badge. I'm so sad now. Whoever that is says, I don't understand. And then, please, can you help me with anything so I can eat? I was on patrol and I got attacked, which led to disarm. And it's in the rules that you cannot lose your gun and badge. And then I was dishonorably discharged. I don't know anybody from the police department that's ever been dishonorably discharged. I know some people that have been fired. But I'm pretty sure that just happens in the military. And then there in the middle is how to spot and avoid a romance scam. We sit here and talk about it now, and you all are intelligent people. You kind of see that and whatnot, and say, hey, this is not anything that I would engage in. And the guy on the right here kind of gets it at the end of the text. It's kind of the same thing. I need some money for this crisis. And at the very end, he says, look, I'll be honest. This is making me really uncomfortable. I'm not going to do that, which is the right answer, right? All of the time. If you can't talk to them and you can't verify that they're a real person, everyone I've seen, they're always overly complimentary and flirtatious, and they're trying to gain that rapport. They shower with attention. Unusual interest in your finances, that should be, red flag one. Maybe you deserve the attention. You probably do. However, as soon as the conversation starts becoming about your finances, then that is a problem. right? That's not what normal people do engaged in a normal relationship. There we go. There we go. And when I saw that, I thought, because I like to work out and run and stuff like that. I thought physical injury, that kind of thing. But, looking back through my career, some of the leading cause in injury for older men was not, ankle injury. It was, some of it's monetary injury that, unfortunately, I've seen. And a lot of the times, these romance scams, they ask you to wire money. And Bryce was up here talking about wiring money, which is never a good idea, especially if you don't know especially if you cannot verify the other person on the other end of that when you wire money.
A North County couple's American dream quickly turned into a nightmare after wiring nearly $800,000 to who they thought was their escrow agent. Instead, all of that money went to a scammer.
And I remember I just dropped to the floor and
I immediately went to the FBI.
10 News reporter John Horn is joining us now live in the newsroom. And John, that money appears to be gone.
Yeah, and as far as that couple can tell, it's in somebody's account in Singapore. Now, Kevin and Nicole North thought by now they'd be the proud owners of a brand new, expansive Carlsbad home. But today they're living with family in Solana Beach, wondering how so many clues could slip through the cracks and let this scammer get away with it.
It's Kay. Oh.
These days, 1-year-old Declan is the only one who can keep his parents positive. Otherwise, Kevin and Nicole Noor are tormented.
we can't sleep. I mean, last night you had a nightmare.
The couple is living a nightmare. They're staying with family in Solana Beach at a time they thought they'd be living the American dream.
All of this was for him, the house with the yard and the schools and, so he could have a sibling.
But instead, their $775,000 down payment, 60% of the purchase price of a Carlsbad home, wired to a hacker posing as their escrow agent.
Then we get a phone call. Where did you send your wire? I said, to you guys. What do you mean to you guys?
Stunned, the Noors went to the FBI and are now retracing their steps. They take direct aim at an employee at their escrow company who sent official wire instructions minus the account number in an unsecured email. They say a hacker got access to that email and duplicated that document, adding account numbers to a Bitcoin exchange company. Nicole says the bank never caught it, and escrow didn't alert her when she called to say she sent the money, even though they'd never told her where to send it. In that critical time, Nicole says the transfer could have been stopped.
They called back. They called back to tell me what time the notary would be here the next day to sign our loan docs.
The couple now reeling, seeking their legal options, looking back on how something like this could happen.
And the couple has set up a GoFundMe. They asked us not to name the escrow company as they weigh their legal options. Now, the FBI says Californians are the biggest target of this scam. One way to protect yourself from this is not to accept wire instructions over email. Instead, call that escrow agent that you know that you've been working with and get that over the phone. For now, live in the newsroom, John Horn, 10 News.
Unbelievable. Yep. John, thank you. All right, this is not the first time 10 News has reported on hackers and scammers targeting people in escrow. Last July, we told you about a Carlsbad family who narrowly avoided giving their down payment to the wrong person. They were spared when their bank noticed that the routing numbers didn't match up. Real estate fraud is becoming an epidemic, too. The FBI says Americans have lost more than $12 billion to these scams since 2013. So, here's what you can do to protect yourself. First, if you are in the process of buying a home, double and triple check everything. Don't respond to email requests for money. Instead, follow up with your realtor or your escrow agents on the phone and confirm they sent the message.
And you ask yourself, how does this happen to intelligent people? And it's the email followed by the follow-up email, and these people will stop at nothing to really make you believe that they are legit. Someone will answer the phone if you call that number on that email, right? They'll answer the phone and verify the identity of everyone that's involved, right? They're all cross-communicating. They understand what everyone else is doing, because that's going to one person after that one email is sent out. And it's very hard to get someone's mind wrapped around that, oh, this is not real. But it happens, and it's horrible when it happens. And really, when it goes to Singapore or really any other country, there's nothing we can do about it in the police department. It is one of those things where we will try, but 90-something% of the cases, we don't get anything back. It goes to Singapore, India, wherever, and that money is completely gone in different bank accounts and whatnot. And my biggest problem is if you came to me the minute after it happened, now I have to send a subpoena or search warrant, right? I can do that within 30 minutes for a subpoena and 4 hours for a search warrant, right? I take that down to Western Union, right? They have up to 48 hours to respond, and they'll take every minute of that, I promise you. If that money is going to another country and I send a subpoena search warrant from whoever, I can get it from a federal judge, and that company in another country will tell me to pound sand. It's been done. They've told me nicely to pound sand. However, they've told me that. Some of them told me not so nicely. But there's very, very, very little that federal and local law enforcement can do. And all we can kind of hope to do is, unfortunately, teach people not to be scammed. We can't, I would very much like to go to India and arrest some of these scammers or other things. And, just like when I was in the Special Victims Unit, when I'd give these talks about different sexual assaults, we were teaching people not to be victims. And unfortunately, we're doing that here, not to be victims, because different countries are preying on Americans, frankly.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. The best way to protect yourself from online scams is to learn about them. Here are 10 of the most common scams going around today. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So this first scam is fairly common, especially if you use Venmo, but it could happen on other payment systems as well. The way it works is you get some money from somebody you don't know. So all of a sudden there's money sent to you. But then they send you a message saying that it was a mistake. They send it to the wrong person. A lot of times they'll include a sob story about how they need the money back as quickly as possible. They've got medical bills, whatever. So they want you to send them the money back. But the thing is, when you send the money back, that's a legitimate transaction. But the money they sent you, that was done either with a stolen credit card or maybe they faked the entire thing. So eventually you find out you never had that money that they sent you, but you already sent them the same amount of money back. They've closed their account, they're gone, and there's no way for you to get that money back. So the way to avoid this is that if you ever get money from somebody you don't know, don't interact with them. Instead, send a message to support for that system like Venmo, telling them about the unexpected transaction, and let the company's support handle it, not you. So this next scam happens when you're selling something online. Maybe you're selling on Craigslist or eBay, Facebook Marketplace, someplace like that. And you get an offer from somebody to buy it from you for more money than you've listed it for. Sometimes they'll say this extra money is because they want it shipped in a special way, or they want to send somebody to pick it up, something unusual. What they're trying usually to do is to get you away from the payment system that is safe. So for instance, on eBay, instead of paying through eBay, they want to send you the money directly or send you a check or something like that. And then you might ship them that product and then find out their payment was no good and you no longer have the product and no way to get it back. In fact, some of the time they may actually pay the regular amount, but then when they actually pay you, it's more money. And then they claim it's a mistake and they want you to send the money back. Then it's like the payment from a stranger scam. And now you might be out the product and some cash. So the way to avoid this is simply don't let somebody take you to another payment system. If somebody doesn't want to use, say, eBay's payment system, they want to use something else, that's a red flag. Don't do it. Sell it to the next person. And remember, for online transactions, checks are pretty much worthless, even if the person hands it to you themselves. Though the bank might actually deposit the money the next day in your account, it could take weeks to find out that the check is fraudulent, and then your bank's going to take that money away from you. So in this next scam, you're the buyer of the product online. In its simplest form, you buy something from somebody, and either you just don't get the product or you get an inferior product. Maybe, for instance, a knockoff iPhone instead of an actual iPhone. Maybe a much older MacBook than the one you thought you were getting. There are protections for this in various places where you buy things offline, but a scammer will try to take you away from that, saying that they could sell it to you cheaper or it's easier for them if you pay them in some other way. But of course, once you leave the system, then you have no recourse. You have no way to get your money back, to send the product back, or any of that. Now, this happens a lot to Apple users because a very common version of this is somebody gets a MacBook and sells it online, but when you get it, you find out, maybe not for weeks, that the machine's actually stolen. And by that, I mean it actually has device management software installed. So this was a MacBook that was owned by a school or a company, and somebody either took it with them when they left their job or left the school, or stole it from the school or company and is now reselling it. The thing is, that Mac's never going to be yours. It's always going to be controlled by that organization. There's no way to remove this MDM software that's controlling the Mac. This makes it very difficult to buy a used MacBook, especially from another person rather than a reputable company. So to avoid this, make sure you're not lured away from whatever marketplace you originally were on to another kind of payment system. And if you can, actually look at what you're buying in person before you pay for it. That's very important if it's a Mac or an iPhone or something like that. Not only should you look at it, but also make sure you learn what you should be looking for to make sure the device isn't remotely managed, that it's not stolen, and that it actually works. So lottery scams are pretty common. You get a message or an email or a phone call claiming that you won some sort of lottery or sweepstakes or other kind of prize. But you just need to pay $75 or something for some sort of paperwork or something like that. But of course, there is no actual prize. You pay the money, and if you're lucky, they just take that. If you're not lucky, they may actually take more from your credit card or steal some identity information. The way to avoid this is easy. If you get a message saying that you've won some money, ignore it. These are always scams. So this next scam preys on people who are searching for jobs. The way it works is there'll be a job posting, often on a legitimate job website. The job posting is fake, and when you apply for it, you get a message saying they're very interested or maybe you got the job. But you've got to fill out a more detailed application or they have to run a background check, and they're going to try to charge you a fee for this. Of course, there is no job. It's completely fake. They're just looking to collect the fee from you and then disappear. Or worse, they could be trying to steal all this information from you that you put on that background check form. To avoid this, be careful if a company that claims to offer you a job is asking you for money. It doesn't work that way. Determine if the company is a real company and then call them and ask them about the job separate from the messages that you got. Often they'll tell you that there's no such job or nobody should be asking you for any money. So the tech support scam is pretty common. You get an email, a text message, or a phone call from somebody claiming to be from a company that you deal with, like maybe Apple, or it could be Microsoft, it could be your ISP. And they say they've detected a problem with your computer. It's got malware, it's got a virus, or something like that. And they want to help you. So they want you to give them access to your computer so they can log into it so that they can poke around. And of course, these people are not from any of these companies. Companies like this don't monitor your computer remotely. They don't call you out of the blue to provide help or anything like that. This is always a scam. What they're trying to do is, of course, get onto your computer, either steal information from you, get money from you somehow, or perhaps install something on your computer to do any of those later on. Now, sometimes this takes a form of an ad on a web page, but the ad is designed to look like it's an alert that's not part of the web page. Other times, web pages will send you a notification. It comes up as a notification from that website, but it's not easy to tell that. So you get this notification and you think it's coming from your system, but after you click on it, it takes you to the scammer or the scammer's website or displays a phone number, that kind of thing. To avoid this, just remember these companies don't remotely monitor your computer. They're not going to call you out of the blue and offer to help you or anything like that. Just ignore all of it. So the apartment posting scam is similar to the job posting scam. But in this case, you're looking to rent an apartment or perhaps a house and you see a listing. But the listing is faked. They take images from a previous listing or the last time that house or apartment was put on the market, and they post it up just like they're the actual rental company. In particular, looking for people who are moving to town so they can't actually view apartments in person. They're doing it all online. But of course, they've got nothing to do with this apartment, and it's probably not even for rent. They're going to tell you that you got the apartment, and they're going to want you to fill out an application so they get information from you, and then probably pay a fee, maybe even a security deposit. And they're just going to take that money. Then when you show up at the apartment, you're going to find out that it's not even for rent. So the way to avoid this, of course, is always insist on touring the apartment in person. If you can't do that because you're out of town, then you're going to have to plan either a trip to visit to find an apartment, or you're going to have to look for something like a hotel where you could stay at for a long period of time while you find an apartment. Renting an apartment online remotely is just filled with scammers. So the online romance scam has been around for a long time, probably since the beginning of the internet. And it could start certainly in a dating app, but it could also start anywhere that you chat and meet other people. And it goes very slowly because the scammer actually has dozens or maybe even hundreds of people on the hook. So they can take their time over days, weeks, months to befriend you and then let a romance bloom. And once they think you're on the hook, they may talk about some sort of financial problems that they're having, healthcare bills, or maybe they just want some money so they can come out and meet you for the first time. Often they'll avoid actually ever asking you for money, just telling you about their problems until you offer money. The people that run these are experts in psychology. They know exactly what to say. And often they're working with scripts and techniques that have been developed over decades of scamming people. So they're really good at saying just the right thing. Now, the way to avoid this is simply never to send money to somebody that you don't know in real life. But of course, the scammers are experts at getting you to do that. So another way to avoid this is to make sure that if you are starting an online romance, that your friends and family know about it and listen to what they have to say if they have concerns. The sheriff scam is a way for a scammer to get some really quick money. It can work in just minutes. So you get an email, a text message, or a phone call from somebody claiming to be from the sheriff's office or any other law enforcement agency. And they tell you that perhaps you've missed jury duty or you have outstanding parking fines. Something that seems kind of plausible, like you may have actually missed the notice in the mail or it didn't get to you. And they say that you're in big trouble, maybe that you're even going to be arrested soon. But you can take care of it by paying right now. And they offer some sort of reasonable amount, $100, $300. Strangely, they often want you to pay with gift cards, which should be a red flag. But at this point, the whole thing seems so urgent that you're very distracted and may fall for it. They try to keep you on the phone or keep you chatting online. They'll claim, for instance, that if you try to actually call the sheriff's department or go in yourself, that you'll be arrested on the spot. So to avoid this, just ignore them. A sheriff's department or law enforcement agency is not going to call you and ask you for money over the phone like this. It just doesn't happen. It's always a scam. And finally, there's the wrong number scam. This very often starts with a text message from somebody you don't know. And the text message is specifically designed to get you to respond to the wrong number. It might be something like, I'm at the restaurant waiting for you, or I'll pick up your kid after school today. Something to make you feel like you really should respond saying, oh, you texted the wrong number. And then they'll respond saying, thanks. And then they'll strike up a conversation, maybe right then, maybe later. They'll tell you how nice it is that you actually responded to them. They'll start talking to you. It seems perfectly harmless, but the goal for them is to actually keep telling you about how successful they are or how much money they have until you eventually start asking them about it. Then they'll talk about some sort of investment strategy they use or how they invest in cryptocurrency, something like that. They get you to actually ask them, how can I make money too? And they'll actually refuse to take money from you, sending you off to an app or a site that they say they use. But when you go to actually use it to invest, you'll find sometimes much, much later that it's a scam and they've just actually taken the money from you. The way to avoid this is simple. If you get a message from a wrong number, don't respond. It's almost always a scam. So let me finish with some basic rules. First, never assume that you're too smart to be scammed. From time to time, even experts get scammed. So you always want to be on guard, and overconfidence can lead you into trouble. Education is your best defense. Continuing to learn about scams, watching videos like this, reading about them is very important. The more you know about scams and how they work, the better your chances of recognizing a scam when somebody tries it on you. And since education is the best defense, the way to help others is to spread this information. Let friends and relatives know about these scams and how they work. Talk to them about it as an interesting topic to discuss, not a warning. The more that you could teach them about scams, the better their defenses will be. You need to do that before they become the victim of one of these scams. Once somebody is in the middle of being scammed, it's very hard for them to see what's going on and to admit that they're being scammed.
And I kind of talked about this a second ago. Will I get my money back? Probably not, right? But we'll try. I will send the subpoena. I will send the search warrant. I will try my best. However, it is very, very, very rare that anybody ever gets any money back from any type of scammer like this. So useful tips. Do not store your credit card, right? Like, so I was storing my credit card with Norton Healthcare when my child was young. He had to go to the hospital often. So I just stored my credit card with Norton Healthcare. After that, I got the notice in the mail. We've been hacked, right? Great. Now I got to get a new credit card. Just pay it, right? There is an online portal 99% of the time that you can pay whatever through, right? And you can put your credit card number in there. Now, I will say this. When you're paying anything, right, online, there is the web URL at the top, right, needs to say HTTPS. Usually it just says HTTP, right? The S means secure, right? So you're on Norton's website, going to pay something like I've done a bunch of times, right? I always check for the S. If it doesn't have an S, get out of it. Go back into it, right? Check that email that you just received that said, hey, you have a bill to pay. So they have to, by federal law, to make sure that it is a secure payment website. They can't do it. I don't know what it is with coding and whatnot, but they can't put the S in. Yep. They have to. You can do that too. Yeah, same thing. It's kind of like giving your credit card to the waitress, right? Or waiter. You're giving that card number to a person on the other line. Your bill may get paid, but a month later, after they sell that information, which has happened bunches, it happened to me bunches of times, right? Your bill will get paid, but a month later, they're going to sell that credit card on and on and on and on, and eventually it's going to get used, and you're going to get dinged for $300 in California at a Walmart like I did. Yep. And part of that, right, is I go to Cabela's every once in a while. Every time you check out in Cabela's, what do they ask for? Your phone number, right? Can you give us your phone number? Can you give us your email? Just say no, right? All they do with that information is they sell it, right? They sell it for pennies on the dollar to the next person, and eventually one of those systems gets hacked, right? It's not hard to do. I've looked at that stuff, and I'm a policeman, right? So all I got to do is I have to build a bot to check those emails and send a blank email format of, hey, Norton Healthcare, you owe us $100, right? Somebody's going to click on that link, I promise you, right? And put their credit card information in there, and then I have a credit card. Now, I may use it one time, but I use it 5 times. And then I could sell that credit card information and whatnot. So along that same lines, if you're getting a bunch of spam emails, hit the unsubscribe button, right? Or go to that website, hit the unsubscribe button at the very bottom, and that way they'll stop selling your information to whoever else wants to buy it.
They'll always say, we can't do it for 10 days.
Correct.
In 10 days, they sell it to 1,000.
Correct.
1,000 people.
Yes. And then you got to hit that unsubscribe and unsubscriber, or just or just make another Gmail account or another email account. I've got 4, right? I do the same thing, right? I go to Cabela's, like, oh, okay, here's my email. It is what it is, and then I just trash that whole email system and go to another one as soon as they sell it a whole bunch of times. We did talk about the lottery or sweepstakes. You probably didn't win that. Here's another big one that I see a lot is do not pay contractors. Contractors will scam you. Do not pay contractors before they are finished with the job. So I know a lot of times, right, we want to think the best of people, right? Oh, he'll come back tomorrow and do that job for me and whatnot, right? Like, you know, and I have paid, like, a contractor's done half the work, you know, I give them half the money, right? Sometimes I've done that, but I always take a picture of their identification, right? Driver's license, ID card, whatever it is, right? And that helps us later on. We're like, who did this work for you? He said his name was Bob and he drove a white truck. I don't know. You know, I got the license plate for you, but the license plate comes back to, you know, his past girlfriend who won't talk to me. And yeah, contractors they're huge here in Jefferson County, obviously. So they will get it. And gift cards, right? Gift cards, cryptocurrency, they're never an acceptable form of payment. Please don't pay those. Please don't pay anybody in that. And lastly, resources. So I use consumerfinance.gov a lot. They've got a lot of information. It's boring to read, but it is useful. YouTube, obviously, if you want to learn how to do anything, it's on YouTube. I've learned so much about my job and different aspects on YouTube. It's a wonderful resource for our generation. 911, right? You have an emergency, LMPD is 911. We'll come screaming to you, I promise. Our non-emergency number is 574-2111. And like I was saying earlier, store your banks, your advisors, your cell phone providers, your credit card, and other important phone numbers, right? Like the law enforcement, customer service, like I've been scammed type of number. They will all have one. Please put that in your phone. Please write it on a piece of paper. So that way, when something happens, right, you've got a phone number that you can stop that transaction immediately. And we can kind of work from a place of advantage from the law enforcement aspect of, hey, he didn't get anything, but they tried. So we're going to try to prosecute them for at least trying. All right. Thank you all. Thank you.